everything. Like,
It's very good.
MPs, like,
Yeah, good.
I can use stuff from my documentary in as well because it was on editing. So.
Yeah, do you know what? I think we've had. Don't want to sound too condescending. It's dangerous.
Don't worry about it, mate.
But a bit of a breakthrough in sort of how you're seeing it now. You're working. I think there might have been a period of time where the transition from level 2 to level 3.
Oh yeah.
Kind of evaded, and then
What can I do?
How do I put it another way? You were full of attitude.
That's the truth of it, mate. That's the truth of it.
And then we've broken beyond that, and I think you're getting it.
Absolutely. I really enjoy editing. I've found what I want to do on this course. You know, mostly my inspiration is from just not general, music videos, all these different techniques that people, editors use. So, that's really cool. I want to do that. So that's where I took it from. I think the breakthrough was my New York video, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah, because I worked on that quite hard, to be fair, even though I'm not that great, but I worked on it quite hard. I used a lot of, I followed a lot of tutorials to use different techniques and effects, and I was like, wow, yeah, this is really cool. I'm quite proud of this.
Research into problem solving. That's it. That is the secret ingredient.
And now I think when I start university, I think I'm definitely going to try a lot harder, for sure. Definitely. I feel like I'll get better, obviously, which is good.
So do prepare yourself. We had Peter Hampford in this last week.
Yeah.
You see him?
Was he sitting here while I was...
He might be, yeah. And,
has he got glasses?
Yeah. And he went to... Sorry, he went to Greenwich.
Oh, yeah.
Literally, the week before last, the practical session was set up a tripod.
Is that it?
Yeah.
The tripods that we have?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Because a lot of the people come from A-levels. So Avid, forget possibly, I don't know, Sony Vegas. Yeah.
Sony Vegas is hard as well.
Yeah, but it's not like the industry stuff, is it?
No.
So what I'm saying is, like, don't get despondent if you're going over old stuff. You know how to do it. Stay motivated. And as I said to Peter, that's an opportunity to make yourself needed and useful, if you see what I mean. So university is not about kicking back and being provided everything. It's about seizing opportunity.
Absolutely, yeah.
So first thing you should be doing is getting in touch with those production guys, with the DPs, yeah? Because someone's got to edit it.
Yeah.
And networking that way.
So I could try to get some work
Exactly.
while I'm doing university as well.
Exactly. Because I can pretty much guarantee you'll be going over similar sort of steps which you've already got down, probably in level 2. Because they've got to bring everyone up to speed. Everybody's paying to be there, so they've got to get everybody up.
Yeah.
So just a sort of word of warning that I could see you, when you got the arse on, you can be one-dimensional in terms of,
Most of the time I'm joking. It's just a big joke, but some people just take it really seriously. It's hard to understand, but obviously you know me enough now to.
Yeah. No, so all I'm saying is just see that as an opportunity to shine.
Yeah. Okay.
Top boy, or whatever you want to call it, And also, kind of, the theory side of things is really strong. So that was looking at documentaries and the framework. Cool. Distinction for that. That was preparing and planning your idea, your concept. Really cool. And that's another prime example of you're not going to reinvent the wheel. Not being a level 3 student with the budgets you got, which are, I don't know, bus fare.
Yeah.
So everything's been done before. So feed off it. So, it was visual effects. What is visual effects? It was really nicely pieced together. So you saw it as a perfect platform structure for you to then get in your history of editing. Great idea. Really good idea. I think that was the presentation. I didn't assess that one. bit of me can imagine why it's good being laid back and this and the other. Still give us the detail. Like the style is one thing, but don't negate that you know what you're talking about. If that makes sense. Yeah. Production itself, again, I didn't assess that. It was done on screening day.
He said that he said like the first half of it, because it was talking about the history and the changes through time and stuff. And then when I came to the interviews, like when I kind of got further into like present day, he just said it kind of like drifted off a bit because like he didn't really find that interesting because it's like he already knows that, so he'd rather find out more stuff about the past and the change through time. And he just he said the interviews were pretty pointless. He just said the first half was good because I talked about the history and stuff he didn't even know, and that's what.
You put in that you sort of bypassed 50 years worth of development.
Yeah, I did because I couldn't find anything on it. That's why. So I skipped a fat chunk of it. Yeah.
That's interesting, actually. I wonder why.
I literally searched up there somewhere.
Because you know it used to be reel to reel to actually do editing as well. Do you know what I mean by reel to reel? You play it back off one, you're laying it down the other, so you stop that one, and then you find the next bit that you want to do, and you play back and lay it down. And that might be why. Funny enough, like a huge amount of work that I've done previously, there's no access to it because it went out on tape format, went off to the broadcast, so there wasn't YouTube in the way it is now. So funny enough, there is a period of like actually material is old film reel gets found, digitised and put out there. Do you see what I mean? There's a period of time, I think there's a huge section of like there is no archive footage. Funny enough, it might be why, if you're saying. It only just occurred to me.
Well, the thing is, what I followed my information of on Adobe, there was this timeline of the whole edit, like all of like the editing and stuff like that. And like at the start, it would say like you cut frames and then like move on to just loads of like Ampex recorders and like editing on TV like live and stuff like that. And there's like this, it's on Adobe, it's like there's this whole timeline, it just goes down and down and down. And
why didn't I see that?
Huh?
Why didn't I see that within your work?
Do you not see it?
I don't think so.
Look at it now. Yeah, if you like, there's literally like on Adobe, I don't know. It would have been on my it would have been on my research, definitely.
Why have I skipped that?
Are you sure that it's not on there? No, it wouldn't be on my presentation. It might have been. Yeah, it's like there. If you, it's probably really small.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's like this whole timeline thing of what happened and stuff like that. And that's where I kind of followed it from.
Gotcha.
That's what I researched.
Cool.
But there was a lot I couldn't find. There was one. There was like an Echo 900 editing. I don't know. There was just loads of things that I searched and just couldn't find anything on the internet. Like, because probably they were so old, and I just couldn't find anything on them.
All right, not to worry. It's no major.
Yes.
A bit of me suspects like time constraints probably got in the way nearer the end of it because you probably started at the beginning.
Yeah.
And then worked your way through. Deadline arrives, so much you can do. Evaluation on point, very direct. You don't dress it up, you tell it as it is. That works. Yeah, really good project. What can I say?
I think the problem is with a lot of people is they just want loads of shit. It's just not relevant to what they're doing.
Yeah.
Like they think it's like quantity rather than quality.
No, and it was Amy Farmer, so I'm gonna have to dig it out. Because I assessed it last year. She did an animation.
Oh my god, I'm going to stand.
And the folder was so thin. And even we're guilty of it, because when I'm picking up, you're picking up big folders and I'm going through. And I'm trying to pick out the detail. And Amy's was so small, I thought, shit, we've got a problem there. And she hadn't been in for a long period of time for reasons. And shit, it'd be a massive problem because we hadn't been able to guide and assist her. I started going through, and every single word in that folder counted. And I gave it a distinction. And I actually assessed it twice because it was like, it just didn't feel right. This is a distinction. But I'm going to the grading criteria, and it was a distinction. And she got picked out as a sample, so I thought, this is going to be interesting as well. So I put my name to a distinction. And they came back, and they said exactly the same thing. They were like, it was so on point, so purposeful. Everything carried forward beautifully into the production. And I don't know why it sometimes feels so hard to articulate it.
Why was that?
Do you get it? Why?
Why was it so good, even though there was so little of it?
Because everything she was looking at carried forward.
So it all linked with each other.
It all just linked perfectly. From concept to practical, the whole thing just came together beautifully. And you saw from project proposal what she wanted to do, and there's the final project, the animation, and everywhere in between just connected, It sometimes feels really hard when talking to you guys, like, it's research going into experimentation or concept, it kind of follows through, and it makes impact, it's not just stuff.
Yeah.
Well, if there is just stuff, it's identified that this actually is just stuff.
How many pages did she do?
Oh my god, there wasn't many. I could have to
Really?
find it. Where would it be?
Not even like 5-10 pages.
We're talking for each section, hazard a guess, 4 to 5 pages for every section. So in total, really not a lot.
Like 20 pages. Pretty much.
Yeah, but just really condensed and on point.
What was her production like?
Brilliant. Yeah, it's just really weird animation.
It's an animation.
Yeah. It was a story about kind of mind control from the media. Let me see if I can find it. It's on the other hard drive, I think. Yeah, I'll do the other hard drive. It was just very good. So no, it seems to me that you've kind of got it. You've got the process. It's not that hard, but it is hard.
It is hard, yeah.
But there's so many details
It's
that come
not
into
hard
every
to.
project.
It's not hard to understand the process. It's more of the fact, like, what am I going to put in that's going to make it all relevant? Everything's going to link to each other because that's what you get graded on. If it's just random shit that like is about the topic but it doesn't link or anything, it's just no point. It's shit.
It's just extracting that idea.
And that's why, like, I never do massive chunks. I never have a folder like in there like that big for an FMP because I wouldn't write that much stuff. I know what's relevant. I know, how it links and stuff. I don't know how people do that. I don't get it. It's just mad. Like,
it depends on the project, but I mean, I've been drawing this. See as research. So this was with one student's project. So you're going, right, here's the project in the middle. This is my end goal. But it has, so it's a music vid. So it's going to have lighting. It's going to have production and cameras. It's going to have cast. It's going to be an abstract piece. It's going to have post-production. Wants it to be cinematic. So all of these are attributes of where this person wants it to go. And my old hippie university lecturer, who clearly took too much LSD in the 60s, but it works for him, explained research as like a spiral. So you start out wide and broad, and sometimes not connected, but you start to kind of close in on the point of hand. And then various details aren't relevant, aren't helpful, but some are. And every time you find a tick, you carry that forward, you carry it forward, you carry it forward. So your FMP becomes comprised of lots of little elements that you found, relating to production, relating to casting, relating to whatever it is.
do you draw this up today?
Me, yeah. But I'm visual. You know what? I struggled with research. And when he said it like that, it just made sense to me. It was like, I get it now. Because you can find inspiration in the most obscure things. So it might not be related, but you can go, actually, it kind of is, because I can manipulate that in a way that I can shoehorn that into my project. And it's another little detail, yeah? Anyway.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And the bits that are a tick, you carry forward, and now, can I experiment with that? Can I try that?
That's a good way to
Can I
do
test
that.
it?
I've never really drawn things out. Spider diagram, I guess.
Yeah. And yours is slightly different, but a justified FMP. But, you know, you might start wanting to look into detail, like, why do we have to render? Do you know why we have to render?
Get a project.
No, what I mean is you add effects and transitions, and suddenly sometimes you have to render it.
Got me on that one, mate.
I'll leave it with you. Find out. There's a specific reason.
There's a specific reason.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why you have to render. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. And I give you a clue, it might be depending on what machine you're working on also. So I'll give you another clue. Tony and Mark have been developing streaming live events. So they've got 3 sources coming in, 3 cameras.
Yeah, you told me.
Yeah. So it's related to that. So that's just a technical bit of yours. It's not aesthetic.
Didn't he he thought it was something, but it was something completely different.
Yeah, I thought it was a network.
It wasn't.
No.
What was it?
It's because it's H.264, which is compressed, so processor heavy. Has to unpackage it before it can play it, GOPs. If you've got 3 sources, the processor's just going, I can't cope, man. It's too much. So with editing software, certain effects, etc., will need a rendering because you can't get a live, real-time preview of it. Yeah.
So that's why then. You just can't watch it back.
No, it can't do all that crunching to give you what you want. That's why programs like After Effects use RAM preview. It will load each frame into RAM first before it will play back real time.
The encoder thing, the Adobe.
Okay, so
that's just for.
So that's distribution. So once you've done, say for example, okay, you're working with Avid, so you'll probably have DNX HD as the main codec, but you're supplying it for either Blu-ray, DVD, online. Client needs it in a certain way. BBC.
Oh, so it's just kind of like an actual place where you can change your renders.
Change that format to that format.
I see. Okay,
yeah.
What about, does Avid have its own codec?
Yes, DNX HD.
DNX
HD, and I think it's lower HD.
You'd have to obviously match it up once you pull your footage, and you have to match it up, like the program, to your footage. So if it's in 25 frames, you change that.
Yeah, so I mean, it showed. I think
just to keep it as raw as possible, so it just looks. Best.
Yeah. Also, you don't want to go through too many encoding processes because there is degradation each time, and your job is to maintain digital integrity. Right. So analog used to be really bad for it. So if you've got a VHS and you make a copy of that VHS, it's going to be slightly worse than the original. Because the format's VHS. So you've gone VHS, which is a crappy format, and you made a copy of VHS from a crappy format, so you've now got another loss. And say you made another copy of the VHS, but from the copy, you would move so far away from the original VHS in terms of its quality. And digital does the same, not as severe, but when you're changing codecs and formats, you do. So you always. So the files that I'd use in visual effects are EXR. That was developed by Industrial Light Magic, and it's lossless. You can create multiples of EXR, and there's no degradation whatsoever. It's entirely lossless. Yeah. If you're changing formats from DNX HD to ProRes, then to DV PAL, loss, all the way down the line. That makes sense, yeah.
But that doesn't happen anymore. Does that still happen?
Yeah, so still digitally, you've got to maintain integrity on that. So as part of your workflow, you're kind of planning ahead. The assets that you're ingesting, you're kind of planning ahead. So what Avid used to insist in, regardless of what format, so we might have Betacam, we have DigiBeta, might have VHS, we'd have Mini DV. Right, so these would be different formats, and Avid used to say, I would only digitise that and create my Avid codec, and that's what I can edit with. So it would insist on it. So you didn't have cross formats and frame rates and things. Avid took care of that. So when you do the editing...
You said to me when I was working on Avid kind of makes you work how it wants you to work.
Yeah. But they did bow down to a certain degree. So then they came up with AMA linking. Now this, hopefully by the end of the project, you'll be able to give me advice on, because it's been several years and I've always been... So DSLRs started to come out. Be very popular format with the H.264. So what AMA does is you've got your assets, and it's linking it to your project bin. So it'll enter it into your project bin, knowing it's still that format, but then you put it on a timeline. When you render, there's lots of work for it to do. So instead of doing it here, buy now or pay later. Make sense? Yeah. So you either do it at the beginning and you end up with zero problems, or you do it before, but you can start ending up with problems. Adobe have made Premiere, and you can chuck everything in. Different frame rates, aspects, throw it all in, doesn't matter. Stick it on the time.
Good or bad?
Me personally, I think it's bad, because then what you don't do is worry about all this stuff. You don't understand all this stuff. So here's the Avid codec. In its different variants, depending on what it was shot in. 720, 1080p or 1080i, different frame rates.
1080i, what's that like compared to 1080p? 1080i?
Interlaced or progressive scan.
I didn't know that.
So Sky is still broadcasting 1080i.
Is that different to 1080p?
Yeah.
Is the quality a bit low? It must be a little bit lower.
Alright, so another boring bit for you.
I need to learn this shit.
Yeah. So, alright, so... right, how do I start this one? Okay, interlaced is an older kind of technology. And you used to have aerials here, like that, sat on top of you. There was an analogue aerial, sat on top of the roof of your house, right? And it would transmit via analog. Analog has a bandwidth limitation. So think of it like you're either on dial-up, broadband, fibre, different bandwidths, water pipe, yeah? The water pipe coming out of the pumping station is massive because it's servicing loads of houses. By the time it gets to your mains, it's just a whatever inch pipe to do all your taps and shit like that. So look at bandwidth like that.
Yeah.
Now, interlaced, the eye, served two purposes. One thing to do, so when it was like 720 by 576, which was 4:3 aspect, but that was the pixel resolution, and that's the aspect ratio, height versus length.
Yep.
It was interlaced, and what that would mean is it would have upper and lower field, and it would flash between. In every frame, you would have an upper field and a lower field, a line of resolution. So, if I go 576, if I go 576 divided by 2, that gives me 288 lines of resolution that needed to be transmitted due to this bandwidth, yeah? So I've halved the amount of resolution that needs to be fit through the pipe.
Right.
So for every frame, it would switch between upper and lower, beyond your persistence of vision. But to transmit, I've halved the resolution. So I'm falling in line with analog broadcast standard. Yeah? Make sense?
Makes sense.
Another benefit it had was motion was really good. Because like computers, progressive, they weren't up to displaying full resolution simultaneously for every frame. That takes a serious amount of crunching. Yeah. So if I show interlaced footage, right? So that is showing between the upper and lower field. So it's showing one line of resolution. And the benefit it had with the motion, if anything's moving fast, it will stagger the upper and lower. And that's what we're seeing here, it's a stagger.
Because it can't process it.
Yeah, so, but it would stagger it because it's predicting the movement. Yeah. So, motion used to feel smoother because it's upper and lower for every frame. So it's effectively 0.5 of a frame. It's staggering motion, so it makes it feel really smooth because they're overlapping like that quickly. Yeah. Creating motion graphics was a big for it because in all your rendering and ingest, you had to get your fields correct depending on what format it was going out on. This, that, and the other. And the students here used to have to deal with this problem because if you got it wrong, you got this really juddery kind of effect to it because your fields are in the wrong direction. So the worst thing in the world for showing up interlaced footage is a 1 pixel horizontal line because that little fella will skip between upper and lower per frame. So if you've ever watched anything on telly and it's a brick wall or roof tile or something with this pattern, check shirt, and you get this slight flickering effect. You must have seen it. So that's what it is. It's skipping between the fields. Yeah? Progressive scan is more of a recent phenomenon because computers can keep up with it. Full resolution, every single frame. Yeah, man.
No, yeah, I understand. I'll learn something every day.
Don't you just come to college, get some knowledge, and you know even the broadcast standards, they're all to do with this.
Yeah.
What's the power supply? It's different in Europe than it is here, but everything's been powered off it. So that creates its own limitations. We've got 50 hertz in the UK, America 60 hertz. On your telly, you can choose between 50 and 60. Yeah. Anyway, that's that. Any questions?
Seems all good to me.
Oh, you have got you've got a tricky one. I think it's right what you're doing to head on in this direction, but it does make it for tricky. So it could be worth, obviously you worry, don't mind, don't want to step on his toes. But making sure we see your work and check.
Absolutely.
Just to check that you're taking care of all the elements because it is so specific. Because you are downloading the footage.
I'd have no introduction to do. So.
But you're right to do it that way.
Yes.
But what I'll do as an editor, hold dailies, get people to critique, show them, go through many versions, document that version into us. And then maybe what you can do is look at multiple outputs. So you're sending this off to Sky, you're sending this off to Vimeo, you're sending this off a Blu-ray, you're sending this off a DVD. Yeah, find that stuff out because the editor's job is also output. You get me? So things like Adobe Media Encoder you will then be introduced to. Any questions, no?